is almost guaranteed, and then a future tense question, which I would also say is guaranteed. So I'll give you a few key verbs that you can put into both of those tenses. Should have a bit of time at the end then. I just want to focus on 5 key mistakes that I see in written Spanish at junior cert level all the time. That's the plan. Any questions, get them in the chat. I'm going to have a quick look now before we play the listening comprehension tape. And again, I'm just going to be playing sections of this. I'm not going through half an hour of listening comprehensions. It'll just be 3 2-minute sections. I'm aware we haven't got a whole lot of time this evening. Okay. Mike, how do you do? My last exam is Spanish. Muy bien. Perfecto. Okay, that's great news. And I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to talk you through now in a bit when we talk about the blog in Spanish. There's not a whole lot different to the blog. In fact, I would say there's nothing different to the blog. But I'll get to that, okay? I'll get to the written section. I'm going to do the listening and the reading first. That's the way the exam is laid out. I would approach the exam the same way. I do it in the order that it's there. I'd leave the writing to the end. Your listening is going to be half an hour. We've got 45 minutes essentially then for the other 2 sections. Just kind of to be aware of it as well, the written section is actually worth the least amount of marks out of the 3. Okay, so we're looking at around 39% for the listening and the reading, 140 marks for each of those, 80 marks for the written section. Okay, so our receptive skills, our listening and our reading are actually of higher value in this exam. However, the written section is where you're going to shine. Okay, if you're looking for that distinction, that's where you will stand out in the exam. Okay, so just to be aware of that. Okay, listening, reading, and then we're going to do the writing. Okay, so I will get any questions on the writing, and I will be keeping an eye on the chat throughout. Okay, vale, perfecto. Ser and estar. Don't worry, I will get to that as well, Mike. Okay, if you want to hold off for me. Okay, I'm just going to go through the listening. I'll actually, when we go through the listening, this grind is live on YouTube, Liam. Yeah, you can tune in on Grinds 360's YouTube channel. Sarah and Estar, I'll go through it, okay? I'm just going to fly through this bit of listening first, okay? It's quite important. You're going to hear the tape play in a second. Before we do anything, though, okay, and this is the approach I want you to follow in the actual exam itself. Before we hear any voices, okay, when this paper is put in front of you, we know it's going to be played 3 times. I've just written that up at the top here, just to highlight it again for emphasis. We know it's going to be played 3 times, okay? We've got the first question, ¿Dónde está Manuel? We've got 3 pictures. Might not be the exact same format, but chances are it will be something similar or not a million miles away, okay? If I'm looking at these 3 pictures and I'm trying to retrieve the vocab that I've spent, the last year, 2, 3 years learning, I want to label it Iglesia, church, polideportivo, a sports center, la biblioteca. Okay, so before I hear any voices, I'm looking at these pictures and I'm writing down the words, or I'm sounding out the words in my head, okay, what they might be. And then I'm just listening out for a keyword. B. Ana es su amiga, hermana, prima, novia. Okay, we don't actually even need to understand what these words mean. Amiga, friend, hermana, sister, prima, cousin, novia, girlfriend. We don't need to know what they mean, but it's essential that we read the words on the page in Spanish and we sound them out. We're trying to predict or anticipate what we're about to hear, okay, so that we're not caught off guard. So same idea, we're just reading through the words, we're trying to identify what we might hear. C. Manuel tiene un examen de historia. Verdadero o falso? There's always going to be a true or false question on this. Falso is false. Verdadero is true. Just know the difference between them. Don't get caught out. And then finally, D. El examen es el lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves. Seems like a really basic thing, but I want you to read out or sound out the words in your head. Obviously not out loud. Sound out, anticipate what you're about to hear. Okay? I'm going to play the audio just for this section, and then we're going to take a look at the weather forecast.
Hola, Manuel. Qué sorpresa verte. Nunca te veo en la biblioteca.
Hola, prima. Es que tengo que estudiar.
¿Pero por qué, Manuel?
Porque tengo un examen importante de historia y no me gusta nada la historia.
Uy, qué mala suerte. ¿Cuándo es el examen?
Es el miércoles. No me queda mucho tiempo.
Uf, pues mucha suerte, Manuel. Hasta luego.
Adiós, Ana.
Okay, perfecto. Hopefully that isn't giving you PTSD at this stage. You've got one more to go. But you can get the idea there, okay? I'm anticipating what I'm about to hear. If the words are on the page in Spanish, I'm reading through them, I'm sounding them out, and then it's just a matter of listening out for that key word, okay? I'm going to take a look at question 3 from the same paper, 2023, which is about the weather, okay? So if we flick on, same idea. Before I play anything, I'm looking at the question straight away. So we're going to have a pause tomorrow. Use that time to take a look at what it is. Anticipate what we might hear. So, ¿qué temperatura hace? What temperature is it? And we need to just write el número correcto, como en el ejemplo, okay? Numbers are a big thing. You're definitely going to see them in some shape or form, okay? So if you're already confident with them, have a quick look over them. If not, just to be aware, specifically the numbers, the teens, okay? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, etc., okay? And then we've got our 20 for 20, 21, 30, 40, okay? So just maybe a quick look over them, just the key headers, 20, 30, 20, 30, okay? And again, we're just listening out for a key number here, but we need to be on the ball. So the cities that are given to us in Spanish, that's going to be our, our sign for the answer, okay? León, Madrid, Barcelona, Alicante, okay? That's going to signify where the answer is coming next, okay? We've got en Cádiz, hace mucho sol, so it's very sunny in Cádiz. Verdadero o falso, again, we're listening out for Cádiz. Sí, ¿qué tiempo hace en las montañas? Okay, keyword las montañas. So probably going to talk about weather in different places, different parts of the country. The keyword for us is montañas. We're anticipating that. And the options are nieva y hace fría. Perdona, hace frío. Okay, that's going to be our two keywords that we're listening out for. Again, the words are on the page in Spanish, so it's just tuning in our ear. ¿Dónde está nublado? Where is it cloudy? ¿Dónde está nublado? And again, keyword el norte, el sur, el este, el oeste. Okay? Words are on this page already. That doesn't mean you switch off. Okay? A lot of people just think, okay, handy one box ticking exercise. It's not the case. Read through them. Be as prepared as possible. Try and anticipate what you're about to hear in Spanish. So I'm going to play this clip again now for 2 minutes. We're just going to listen to it once. This is the weather.
Pronóstico del tiempo para hoy, 8 de marzo.
8 de marzo.
En León hace bastante buen tiempo, con temperaturas de 12 grados. En Madrid, la temperatura es de 15 grados. En Barcelona, 18 grados. Y en Alicante, llegará a los 20 grados. En Cádiz, hoy, hace mucho sol. Por el contrario, en las montañas hace frío y mucho viento. Está nublado en el oeste del país.
El oeste del país. Okay, that one is obviously a little bit tricky. El este, el oeste. The good thing is that we've got 3 bites at the cherry here. You're going to hear it play 3 times. Okay, so don't worry if you're a bit rushed and you don't get all the answers on the first go. That's absolutely fine. Another thing I would say is if you get all the answers on the first go, don't switch off. Listen again and again. Double check your answers. Triple check your answers. Make sure you're happy with them. Okay, don't get caught out. Last bit we're going to look at is question 5. Okay, so the questions might not be in the same order. That's to say, it might not be a weather forecast for question 3. It might be question 5. They might switch around the order. We don't panic, okay? Chances are it's going to come up at some point. This one is a little bit different. We've got the questions given to us in English. We actually have to write, okay? So my approach would be for the first listen. I'm not going to do it now, okay? Just because I'm not going to play the tape 3 times. But I just want you to be prepared, okay? If You're looking for vocab on directions if you haven't got them already in your notes. If you're a member of Grinds 360, they're in my Easter revision course on Grinds 360. Okay, I've got a section with directions, I've got a section with weather vocab, key bits of vocab for all different bits and pieces. But if not, they're in your book, they're in your copies already. Just have another flick through, okay? You've got 3 listens on this one. It's not a box ticking exercise. It is a little bit more difficult. You actually have to produce an answer. You've got to write something in English because the question is in English. But the same idea applies, okay? We're going to read the question. We're going to try and get a bit of context. If we can kind of anticipate something, that's even better. So where does Pablo want to go? We know the context already. He's asking for directions. We know he's going to be speaking to a lady. What directions does the lady give him? Okay. There's 3 spaces for answers there. Okay, so let's use our heads a bit. If there's 3 spaces on the page, I need to include 3 bits of information. Okay. Finally, how long should it take him to get there? How long should it take? Okay, and this is what I mean about anticipating an answer. Units of time in Spanish: minutos, horas. Chances are it's not going to take him weeks to get where he's going. He's stopping somebody on the street. So this is what we're trying to anticipate, okay? So horas, minutos, that's the idea. We know we're looking for 3 bits of information for B. And we know that Pablo is going to be speaking to a lady on the street, okay? So I'm going to play this bit and then we're going to move on.
Pregunta 5.
Vale, muy bien. We're anticipating the answer. We're using this time in between the tape to read the questions, try and anticipate anything that we can, okay? Using all the time that's available to us.
Perdone, señora. ¿Me puede ayudar?
Sí, por supuesto.
Quiero ir al polideportivo. ¿Dónde está?
Al polideportivo, pues es muy fácil. Mira, sigue todo recto hasta el final de la calle. Entonces, gira a la derecha. Y el polideportivo está allí.
A ver, sigo todo recto y al final de la calle, a la derecha. Muchas gracias. ¿Está lejos?
No, no, está muy cerca. A unos 10 minutos andando.
Ah, vale. Muy bien. Gracias. Adiós.
Okay. Fairly straightforward. I nearly fell into my own trap there. That just goes to show how easy it is to write in the wrong language. Okay, Polideportivo, the sports centre. We had our 3 bits of information for the directions. How long should it take him to get there? And we heard our keyword minutos. Okay, 10 minutos andando. I was going to put that in brackets, walking. If, and I checked the marking scheme for this one, okay, 10 minutes was fine. If that question said full details, give full details, as it often does. You know, you might have in brackets after it, or which is essentially telling us to give all the information that's relevant to the question. Andando would be walking, but 10 minutos, 10 minutes is absolutely fine. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for the listening comprehension. Same strategy applies for nearly all the questions there. Obviously, if the language is different, we have to do a bit more work, okay? If we're switching, if we're hearing it in Spanish and answering in English. But read the questions, try and anticipate what you hear, okay? Use all the time that's available to you, okay? I'm going to take a quick look at the chat here. So any questions, let me know. Okay. Okay, estamos bien. Mike, I haven't forgotten your ser and estar. What's the difference between the two? Question. I have kind of a bit laid out for that for the writing section, so bear with me. I will get around to it, okay? Perfecto. Vale. We're going to crack on now. We're going to take a look at the reading section. So, we've done our listening at this stage. We've got 140 marks, ideally, in the bank. If not, we've got a good chunk of them, okay? So we're forgetting about that now. Don't leave any blanks, all right? Please, please, please don't leave any blanks. If there was something that you didn't catch after the 3 lessons, have a guess, okay? Have an educated guess based on the content. There was a question here on 2023, question 6. Okay, name the vegetables on offer today. We had our 3 spaces, obviously for 3 different vegetables. If you didn't catch 1 or 2 of them, okay, it doesn't matter. Make an educated guess, all right, at the end. Okay, if obviously, ideally, you'll be able to have your answer there and you'll be able to double check and triple check your answer. If you didn't catch it after the third listen, have an educated guess. Don't leave anything blank. There's no negative marking for the questions. Okay, right, so the reading section there, we know the layout. I'm just going to take another quick look through it with you guys. Okay, so something similar to this. They love a matchup, nice and easy for the beginning. Again, no blanks are to be left. Do yourself a favor. Okay. Process of elimination, there might be one. I know on this paper 2023, Los Grandes Almacenes, that was a bit tricky. Okay, the department stores. But all the other ones, you know, actor, la televisión, médico, el hospital. Okay, so do the ones that you're 100% confident with first and work backwards from that. Okay, you might be left with one that you're uncertain of, maybe two, and then you'll be able to make an educated guess. Okay, but no blanks. That's the golden rule for today. Question 10, similar enough. It's a bit of a gap fill. Okay, we just need to match up the number with the correct Spanish phrase. Okay, so again, we might not be confident 100% with all 6 of them. Pedir la cuenta, to ask for the bill. Ver una película, watch a movie. Pasar la aspiradora, to do the hoovering. Cortar el césped, cut the grass. Cut the lawn, if we were American. Escribir una carta, to write a letter. Ir de compras, shop, go shopping. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify them, just in case there's someone looking at the page saying, I'm not 100% sure what that means. But the approach, nice and easy for them. Okay, chances are you're going to know 5, if not all 6 of them. Hopefully. Okay, if there's one that isn't there, process of elimination. Okay, but start with the ones you're most confident with first. It's not going to take us a great deal of time, which is great because we can keep a bit of that time then later on for the longer reading comprehensions and for our written section. Okay, so we've a bit more words on the page here. We're always going to read the instructions for the questions. We need to read the text about an ice skating rink. That's given us a bit of context already. And answer the questions en español, en castellano, okay, in Spanish. Okay, with all of these reading comprehensions, my approach is the exact same. Okay, I want you to read the instruction. If there's a heading, brilliant, read the heading. Okay, if there's a picture, have a look at the picture. So we've got loads of information here already on the page. We don't even need to know Spanish really to know it. It's given us times. Okay, it's given us a picture of a girl in the snow with ice skates. Okay, we know that already from the context. Pista de patinaje sobre hielo en Antequera. Okay, so ice skating rink in Antequera. I'm not going to waste time looking through all the information on the page, and this goes for all the reading comprehensions. I'm going straight to the questions. Now, if you're someone who's really confident, excellent. If not, the question words are key. And I've written this to remind myself and you guys. Question words are key. If you've got a couple of minutes this evening and you're not already quite confident with the question words, even 5 question words, just to make sure, because chances are you're going to get a reading comprehension and you're going to have to know the question words in order to be able to understand what's being asked of you. What information do you need to include? So, ¿dónde está Antequera? So straight away, I'm looking at the question and I'm just going to answer them one by one. Okay? ¿Dónde está Antequera? I've highlighted the key word in the question. Okay, ¿dónde? Where is it? It was a bit tricky this year, okay? They could have said ¿dónde? They didn't. They're giving us the location though. Capital letter. It's going to be a place. Antequera, and then it's our answer here. A unos 100 kilómetros de Córdoba. 100 kilometers even from Córdoba. Okay, ¿cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? How much is una entrada? And una entrada is a ticket. Okay, not a ticket for a train or a bus. That would be un billete. Train, avión, plane. Una entrada, more for an event or something like this. Para estudiantes. I've got the keyword in the question and I'm just locating that. 8 euros para estudiantes. Perfecto. ¿A qué hora se abre? What time does it open? Okay, and again, question words gonna come in handy. You'll more than likely get a reading comprehension with the questions in Spanish, and you'll have to apply that knowledge. Okay, so ¿a qué hora se abre? Information isn't actually written here. Okay, it is abierto a las 12 del mediodía. We also had it here actually written, so you didn't even need to know in Spanish. You could have located the words, the numbers, okay, on the page. So just be aware of all the information that's given to us. ¿Qué instalaciones hay? Okay, what facilities are there? And again, question word, ¿qué? What? Instalaciones, facilities. And we're just highlighting that keyword, instalaciones. Hey presto, there's my answer. Okay. Muy bien. I'm going to have a quick look in the chat. Estamos bien. Perfecto. Okay, we're all good. Cracking on to the other reading comprehensions. Okay, I'm not going to go through this one. I'm going to have a look at the longer ones in a second, but a similar idea. Okay, there's not a whole lot of words on the page. Same idea. And even if the question is in English, you could nearly read through them all just to give yourself a bit more context before you answer each one individually. So how many days a year is the zoo open? Name the animals mentioned. And again, I can see my spaces there. It's going to be 4 animals mentioned. They're giving me 4 spaces to write. What is there in Kinderlandia? 2 spaces there to write an answer. So chances are there's going to be 2 things. And we can see it here. Hay un parque infantil y una montaña rusa. Okay, there's a kid, there's a playground, and there's a roller coaster. Spaces are there for a reason. They're giving us 2 spaces. We need 2 bits of information. Same with the last one. What is recommended to bring to the zoo? 3 spaces, 3 things. Agua, crema solar, una gorra. Okay, water, sun cream, a cap. Vale? Okay, we're going to focus our time now onto the longer reading comprehensions. I've still got time boxed off to go through the written questions with you guys. Okay, and we're going to be looking at common mistakes. But I think this is really useful, okay? A lot of students are going to look at these longer reading comprehensions and start reading it word for word. That wouldn't be the approach I would use, okay? I'd look at the title, look at the instructions, okay? And then I'd look at the questions even for a bit more context, okay? So when was she born? What does she say about her family? Again, being aware that there's 2 spaces there for 2 bits of information. How does she describe herself physically? What does she say about her house? Okay, and being aware of the spaces there for the information. So when was she born? I'm scanning the text and I'm looking specifically for a date or the verb nací, I was born, el 10 de julio de 1972. Okay, so 1972. 10th of July 1972. I put in full details there because it doesn't specify otherwise. What does she say about her family? Familia is the key word. We're going to locate that in the text. Soy de una familia numerosa. Tengo 4 hermanos mayores. So she's from a big family, a large family. She has 4 older brothers, mayores. Okay, menores would be younger brothers. How does she describe herself physically? Bueno, físicamente soy bastante alta con el pelo castaño. Okay, soy bastante alta. Notice that she's saying alta. She's using the feminine adjective form. I would say soy alto. Okay, and she's using the verb ser. She's describing herself. So a physical characteristic or a personality characteristic is always going to be the verb ser. We'll talk about that again in a second. Okay, I'm going to fly on now to the next one. I'm aware that I'm flying through this, but just so you know in your head how to approach these reading comprehensions tomorrow, I've written it out here again for you guys. Read the title for the context, and then we're going straight to the questions. Okay, so this is one of the longer ones. Same idea, we're going to highlight the keywords, and just to be aware that there are going to be at least one reading comprehension. There is going to be at least one reading comprehension where they're actually telling you where to locate the answer. The reason they're doing that is because the reading comprehension is longer. They actually don't want you sitting there and reading every word, okay? The skills that are being tested here, is your ability to skim through a text, okay? Scan the text, skim the text, look for the keywords, and then pick out the key information that's being asked. So, camping en el norte de España, okay? So, camping in the north of Spain. Read about Emma's holidays and answer the questions. Questions are in English. We answer in English, okay? So, straight away, I've looked at the title, I've looked at the picture, I've read the instructions, I'm going straight down to the questions. When did Emma and her family go on holidays to Spain? And look, I've highlighted the key words here on holidays. Vacaciones is what we're looking for. Okay, paragraph 1. So when did Emma and her family go on holidays to Spain? En Semana Santa, mi familia y yo fuimos de vacaciones al norte de España. So fuimos, we'll look at that again in the written section. Fuimos is we went. And it's Holy Week or Easter is the answer. Where is the campsite situated? Okay. Paragraph 1 as well. The campsite would be the key word. So nos alojamos en un camping que está situado al lado de una playa enorme. Okay, hence the picture. So it's situated beside a huge beach or an enormous beach. What sports facilities are there in the campsite? Again, keywords are highlighted. I'm looking at where it's telling me to look. There's 3 spaces here for a reason. I need 3 bits of information. So paragraph 2, sports facilities in the campsite. Okay. Instalaciones deportivas, sports facilities, como una cancha de tenis cubierta, so a covered tennis court, una piscina climatizada, una bolera nueva. Okay, so those are 3 bits and pieces for number C. Again, 3 bits of information there for a reason. If we look at D, what did Mark do at the beach? Paragraph 2 again. So we're looking for Mark. Pasamos mucho tiempo en la playa donde mi hermano pequeño, Mark hizo castillos de arena con su cubo y pala. Okay, so where Mark made sandcastles with his bucket and spade. Okay, that's what he did at the beach. I'm not going to go through the last 3, okay, but the same rules apply for all types of these reading comprehensions. I want you to look at the title, I want you to look at the picture, read the instructions, and go straight down to the questions, okay? If the questions are in English, they're giving you a bit more context about the text. You're picking out the keywords, and then you're scanning the text for the answers to those keywords, okay? Ya está, chicos. Okay, question 15. So we've got question 15, the last one. So just from the layout there, it might not be the exact same number of the questions. You're going to have a kind of smaller, you'll have your matchup, 2 matchup exercises, more than likely. You'll have a shorter reading comprehension, you'll have an advertisement for something, and then you're going to have 2 kind of longer reading comprehensions, one of which will generously give you the paragraph where you need to find it, okay? So we haven't got the luxury of paragraphs in this one, in question 15. However, same technique is going to apply. So read the text about Buenos Aires, answer the questions in English. Question is in English, we answer in English. We've got a nice picture here. Buenos Aires, la capital de Argentina. Okay, if you weren't already aware of it, you know, capital letters there indicate it's going to be a people, a person, or a place, more than likely. And same idea, we're flying straight down. We're going to look at the questions, highlight the keywords. So how is it described? We're aware of the space then for the question. It's not telling us where the paragraph is, but we can see it in the opening line. Buenos Aires es una ciudad antigua y animada. So antigua y animada. And just to be aware of it, okay, we actually haven't had to produce any Spanish really up to this point. Our listening and our reading is receptive skills. But just to be aware of the written Spanish here. Antigua, old, and animada, lively. Our adjective agreement is going to be really important when we have to write our own bits of Spanish now in the last section. Okay, we need to make sure that our adjectives agree. Es una ciudad. It's a city. It's feminine. Hence why we have antigua y animada. Okay, that's the reason why. Where did the tango dance originate? Okay. So tango is our key word. Un baile muy romántico. Tiene su origen en África y en Europa. Okay, so there you go. Our origin is in Africa and Europe. Okay, Ateneo, described by National Geographic magazine. Nice and handy. We're looking for National Geographic. That's our key word. Describes it as una de las librerías más bonitas del mundo. False friend here, librerías. Okay, it's a bookstore. It's not a library. So one of the most beautiful libraries in the world. Okay. What is the Casa Rosada? La Casa Rosada, and again, that's our key word. Un gran edificio, so a big building. Y es la Casa del Gobierno Argentino, okay? The house of the Argentinian government. Okay? Muy bien. Vale, okay. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to take a look at the last couple of questions because I want to devote a bit of time to the written section. And I want to take a look at some common mistakes or common errors I see students committing at junior cert level. Okay, but before we do that, I'm just going to take a look. Should we answer with full sentences for reading comprehensions? When you say for full sentences, Rachel, like Africa and Europe are the key word. For example, just on that one B, did I say something other than bookshop there? So library, librería is not library. Okay, biblioteca is library, librería is a bookshop. Yeah, I hope I didn't say something different. Should you answer with full sentences for reading comprehensions? No, it's the key bits of information. If you take a look at the marking scheme, Rachel, it's like for that question B, you're not going to get any less marks for writing Africa and Europe as opposed to the tango dance originated or has its origin in Africa and Europe. No. Keywords are fine, okay? Just make sure that if the question is, if it doesn't ask for two details, you include all the relevant information. Okay, does that make sense? Vale, fenomenal. Okay, we're on to section C. Before we go into section C, I'm just going to take 5 minutes just to explain ser and estar. So I think I have it in my notes for the junior cert course. Easter course, perdona. Okay. Okay, not in my junior cert course. If you want to screenshot this section, this is in my book, which is available on Grinds 360. Okay, so page 25 of it. Cabrón, muy mal. Okay, ser and estar. I'm not going to spend too long on it, okay? If you want to take a quick screenshot of this, so it's a little acronym to help you remember it, okay? And some of the things aren't really that relevant at junior cert. I've heard a lot of students, quoting the teacher saying, and I'm not slating anybody, okay? Everybody has their own way of learning, so absolutely not. But I think it's a common misconception with Spanish that ser is for permanent things and estar is for temporary things, okay? We've got doctor for ser. So definition, occupation, characteristic, time, origin, and relationship. Okay, that's the difference. Sometimes you'll hear people say description for the D. Okay, I think that's a bit of a, can trip you up a little bit because a description, you could say mi casa está sucia. Okay, my house is dirty. That's a description as well, and we're using estar. Okay, so definition, if you want to define or classify an object. So, la Tierra es un planeta. Earth is a planet. Occupation is an important one for you guys at junior cert level. Mi padre es médico. My dad is a doctor. And we don't need to include the article. We don't need to say mi padre es un médico. This is a very important one for you guys. So, a characteristic. Soy alto. I'm tall. Soy gracioso. I'm funny. Okay? So, it can be a physical description. or a personality trait, but we're going to use the verb ser. Time and date, okay? If you're given the time or date of something, you're going to use the verb ser. Origin of something, where you come from, where your roots are, soy de Irlanda. And your relationship with somebody. Es mi hermano, he is my brother. That's a relationship, okay? I'm aware I'm flying through this. If you want to take a screenshot of it, I'll hold it there for a second. Okay, the verb estar is, the acronym is place. So position, location, action, not really important for you guys right now, condition and emotion, okay? And the key one for this is going to be emotion, and then the position and the location, essentially the same thing, okay? The position of something, mi casa está en Dublín, okay? My house is in Dublin. Estoy en Madrid. I am in Madrid, okay? The position of something, the location of something. I'm going to fly a bit further down here and just say that emotion, and then your condition, your health, your physical health, your mental health, you're going to use the verb estar. Emotions then as well. Estoy muy contento. I am very happy. Estoy muy feliz. I'm very happy, okay? I'll leave that up on the screen for a second if you want to screenshot it, okay? And I'm going to fly on to the written section of the paper. Vale? Perfecto. Vale, chicos. Okay, we're going to crack on with 2023. And we're just taking a look at the written section. We're going to have a look at some sample answers, okay? I really want to focus on, not even focus, just remind you guys about the past tense, some key verbs in the past tense. I'm going to explain how I would approach the answers. I haven't given an answer for all of these, okay? Just a couple of key things I want you to watch out for. If you have a pen and paper to hand, great. If not, you want to just sit there and listen, that's also absolutely fine, okay? It's just to make you feel as confident as possible now when you go to answer these questions tomorrow in the exam, okay? So we've got 3 written questions. So we've got a kind of gap fill layout for question 16. Might not be the exact same structure of it. We're not going to panic if it isn't, okay? All we need to do is read the questions correctly, make sure we've understood what they're asking us, okay? Make sure we have the correct language going into the answer box, and we're going to be absolutely fine, okay? So this one, we're just filling in the gaps, okay? We had the information here in the box. We kind of have to read the sentence to get a bit more context, okay? Lo que más me gusta es chatear con mis amigos en internet, okay? Obviously, we're reading the options. If we can translate them and make a bit of better sense of them before we have to answer them. Coger el autobús, take the bus. Sacar buenas notas, get good grades. Cenar pescado, to have fish for dinner, a fish dinner. Limpiar mi dormitorio, to clean my room. Chatear con mis amigos, okay, chat with my friends. So en internet, on the internet. Even if I didn't know or didn't recognize lo que más me gusta, chances are I'm not going to be cleaning my room on the internet, or taking the bus on the internet, or having a fish dinner on the internet, okay? So a bit of cop on, read through the questions, take it nice and easy, make sure you're comfortable. If you're really stuck on one, skip it, go back, process of elimination. You'll have a better chance of it after you've answered the ones you're confident with, okay? Question 17. Highlighted in red at the top. Really, really, really important. I'll explain the other bits of writing now in a second. Answer all the points on this written section, okay? Don't sell yourself short. Answer all the points. It doesn't matter if it's the most basic sentence you can think of, okay? And it's not really adding much. Well, you don't think it's adding much. Make sure you answer all the points, okay? Really important, because already you're putting yourself in a kind of lower bracket if you don't answer them all, okay? So total marks for this, even though it's not on the page, we're 30 marks. We've got 10 marks going for content. This is how the next question is going to be answered, or going to be marked as well. 10 marks for your content. Clear, relevant, developed. Okay, is your point clear? I.e., does it make sense in Spanish? Is it easy for the examiner to follow what you're trying to say? Is it relevant? I.e., it's not a load of learned off stuff that you're just throwing on the page and hoping it makes sense. Okay, is it relevant to what's being asked? Is it developed? Okay, so ¿cómo es Barcelona? Barcelona es muy bien. That doesn't work. Okay, you need to develop the point. Ideally, we're not saying muy bien either. Okay, we want to use a couple of nicer adjectives. Barcelona es muy preciosa. Hay mucho que hacer. There's a lot to do. Hay una playa bonita. Okay, for this one, I'd be looking at around kind of 3 points for each of these questions. Okay, so como es Barcelona, and I'll explain in a bit more detail now in the next question what exactly we can do with those 3 points. Expression is 20 marks. That's going to be marked overall, examiner's prerogative. Your vocabulary, your verbs, your adjectives, and then your spelling. SP is spelling. Nearly forgot what I meant by that myself. Okay, just a little kind of point on vocab. And again, if you're someone who's struggling with it and you feel like this is information overload, don't worry. Okay, I'm more so speaking to people that are, feel like they have all bases covered and they're just looking to put the final tweaks on bits and pieces now. Okay, you're looking for that distinction. Vocab, try and mix it up a little bit. And the 2 main things I would say where it's easiest to mix it up would be with me gusta. So instead of saying me gusta, me gusta, me gusta, me gusta todo el tiempo, we have a load of other things we can say. So me gusta, I like, me encanta, me mola, and all of these work the exact same. Me mola, me chifla, me interesa, me flipa. Okay, all of them work the exact same way as me gusta. They're all kind of positive expressions. So I like, I love. Me mola is kind of slang, but I'd be really impressed if I saw that with a junior cert paper. Me mola, me chifla, me interesa, I'm interested in. Me flipa, it's like it wows me. All of these are really nice variables. Instead of saying me gusta, me gusta, me gusta, they work the exact same way. I.e., if the thing you like is plural, you're going to add an N to the end. Me gustan. And they can all be followed by the infinitive. Okay. Muy bien. Okay, we're going to take a look at a little bit more detail how best to answer these. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat as well. Gracias. Preciosa and bonita. I wouldn't say there's a huge difference between the two. Yeah, I would go with either or. Liam, that's fine. Okay, thanks. Gracias. Y ya está. Yeah. Yeah, you can use either, Liam. And it's just nice to have a different option instead of relying on the same thing over and over. Okay? But both are fine. You could describe a city as preciosa u bonita. Just be aware, though, of your adjective agreeing. Okay? Preciosa, bonita, if we're talking about a city. Okay? Muy bien. Question 18, last one on the paper, okay? I've written up here in red, verb, adjective, opinion, okay? This isn't, it's not necessarily a checklist. But for all of these questions, I'd be looking at, at least kind of 3 decent sentences. They don't have to be huge sentences. But we need to make sure that our points are developed. If we're looking for full marks here, if we're looking for a distinction, okay? We need to make sure our points are developed. And the easiest way to develop your point is to include an adjective and then include an opinion, okay? So that's what I've just tried to do just before I came online with you guys. I was just flying through these. So our verb, and you could be double checking this after your written work. We often forget it, weirdly enough, to include our verb. We're focused on so many things in the written section. Just double check your answers, okay? If you've got those couple of minutes to spare at the end after you've answered everything, look out, make sure you have a verb included. If we want to increase our marks or make sure that our answer, flows well in Spanish, it's nice idiomatic Spanish, a nice adjective would be great to include, and then an opinion. And when I say an opinion, these are all great opinion phrases, okay? You like something, you love something, something wows you, it really interests you. Those are opinions, okay? And that's another way we can develop our points. So just an example here. ¿Dónde vives? Vivo en Dublín. There's loads of different ways you can answer this question. Don't feel like you have to go and learn this off now. Think about the Spanish that you have and just adapting it to the answer. The main thing is that we want a verb. We would like to have an adjective and an opinion included to make sure our point is developed, okay? Vivo en Dublín, la capital de Irlanda. Vivo en una casa bonita. There you go. En el centro de la ciudad. Me gusta mi casa porque es muy cómoda. Okay, I like my house because it's very comfortable. Okay, so I've just thrown in an opinion there. They've only asked me where I live, where do you live? But I'm giving a bit more information. I'm developing the points. Okay, so I've got my verb in place and I'm double checking that. Una casa bonita. I've got an adjective in there. Great. Me gusta mi casa porque es muy cómoda. I've got my opinion, and that opinion is backed up by a reason. I'm giving a reason why I like something. ¿Vale? Okay. ¿Qué hay en tu dormitorio? Hay means there is or there are. It's the exact same word. It doesn't matter if it's singular or plural. So what is there in your bedroom? ¿Qué hay en tu dormitorio? Okay. Hay. En mi dormitorio hay una cama, un escritorio. So there's a bed, there's a desk, and a wardrobe. Un armario. Okay. Me encanta. I'm mixing it up a little bit. I'm not saying me gusta again. Okay. Me gusta is perfect Spanish. It's absolutely fine. But just if you feel like you're relying on me gusta the whole time, it's nice to mix it up a little bit. Me encanta mi dormitorio, ya que. So again, I'm trying to show off here a little bit. I'm looking for that distinction. Porque is perfect Spanish, absolutely fine. Okay, and if you want to just stick with porque going in here tomorrow, forget about this. If you want to mix it up a little bit, ya que. Okay, ya que is just a synonym for porque. Mixing it up a little bit. Expanding your vocab, showing off your vocab to the examiner, saying give me some marks. Me encanta mi dormitorio, ya que es bastante tranquilo. Okay, bastante. So instead of saying muy again, muy cómoda, I'm saying bastante tranquilo. Okay, so quite chill, quite quiet. Okay, so just a little bit of variation in that. Again, if you're happy with what you know and you're already at capacity, your brain's at capacity, you don't want to fit in any more Spanish, that's absolutely fine. Me gusta is perfect Spanish. Muy is perfect Spanish. Porque is perfect Spanish. Okay? But main thing is that we're getting the verb right. We're developing our answer. We're including an adjective. We're including an opinion. That would be the most important thing. ¿Qué te gusta comer? Me gusta comer chocolate. Es delicioso. It's delicious. Okay? Adjective. También, also, como fruta todos los días. And again, I'm just giving a bit more information here. I'm saying how often I eat something. Todos los días. A veces. De vez en cuando. Okay, just giving the examiner a bit more information. They can't give you marks. Perdona, for Spanish that isn't on the page. Last bit here. No aguanto el queso. No aguanto. I can't stand el queso. I've nothing against cheese in real life, but I just wanted to mix it up a little bit. No aguanto el queso. Or we could say odio el queso. I hate cheese. I can't stand cheese. Me da asco. That's a fancy little phrase just to say it disgusts me. Me da asco. Okay, again, I'm showing off a little bit there. But just to give you an idea, main thing to remember, our points need to be developed. I would aim for around 3 bits of information here, and I would double check that I have an opinion and an adjective as well as a verb in there. Okay? Nice and simple. Short, simple sentences if you're struggling a bit or you're not too confident with your Spanish and you're just trying to get through tomorrow. Short, simple sentences. I would much rather a student, had short, simple sentences in correct Spanish than someone trying to go over the top and making a hames of it. Okay? Look, I threw in a few different adjectives for tu profesor favorito, but I'm going to go straight to our past tense here, okay? If we have a bit of time at the end, I'll go back to it. So, ¿cómo celebraste tu cumpleaños el año pasado? El año pasado, okay? And that is a key time marker to watch out for. You might get el año pasado, el mes pasado, ayer, yesterday, el verano pasado, okay, last summer. But it's your key indicator that you need to write in the past tense, okay? And you're going to get it tomorrow. You're going to have to write something in the past tense. Don't leave it blank, okay? It's a lot easier than you think. Even with maybe 2 kind of key verbs in the past tense, you'll be able to get through this. So how did you celebrate your birthday last year? Okay, I went with fui. And that's the main thing I want you to take away from this. If you've got a pen and paper handy and you've not heard of that before, drill that into your head over the next however many hours, 12 hours. So fui is I went. Fuimos is we went. Okay, that's your past tense. And you could get away with an answer with those 2. I said fui de compras. I went shopping con mi madre, with my mother. Compré un vestido nuevo. I bought a new dress. Compré. And whenever you see that or e accent, that's your past tense. So I bought a new dress. That's an or. Compré. Even though my handwriting makes it look like an N. Perdona. Compré. Un vestido nuevo. Luego. Later. Hice. Also past tense. Irregular verb. Slightly more difficult. Hice una fiesta en casa con mis amigos. I had a party at home with my friends. I made a party at home with my friends, but that's how you say it. Hice una fiesta con mis amigos. Nice little wow phrase, as I like to call them. So just, showing off a bit, but nice idiomatic Spanish. Lo pasé bomba. And again, we've got that E with an accent, as we had with compré. So it's the past tense. Lo pasé bomba. Then I went one step beyond. Lo mejor fue cuando. The best thing was when. Lo mejor fue cuando. No sé. Pedimos pizza. Okay, we ordered pizza. Okay, that's your past tense answer. There's another one down below. Que hiciste. What did you do? Que hiciste el verano pasado. And again, just kind of knowing a couple of key verbs. Fui, fuimos. I went, we went. Compré. I bought. Comí, viajé. Those are all past tense verbs. So, compré, I bought. Comí, I ate. Viajé, I traveled. Okay. So, literally 5 words there, and you're guaranteed to be able to answer that past tense question. Okay, this blank one, lovely blank one here. Que vamos a hacer durante mi visita? What are we going to do during my visit? Okay, and I'm just going to give you the formula now. Anything for the future tense, I'm sure you guys already know it. We've got the verb ir in the present tense, conjugated in the present tense. Ir plus a plus infinitive. If someone is out there watching this on YouTube and is saying, what the hell is an infinitive? Infinitive is just the form of a verb before you do anything to it. AR, ER, IR ending. So I am going to eat. Voy a comer. I am going to, no sé. No sé, voy a comer. Voy a comprar. I'm going to buy. Voy a viajar. I'm going to travel. Okay, durante mi visita, what are we going to do? Vamos a, so again, I'm using the exact same thing. Instead of voy, I'm saying vamos. We are going to, vamos a comer en un restaurante delicioso. We're going to eat in a delicious restaurant, en un restaurante típico de Irlanda, in a typical restaurant in Ireland. Vamos a comprar, no sé, ropa nueva. We're going to buy new clothes. Vamos a viajar a County Clare. Whatever you want, okay? But nice and simple sentences. And then if we want to expand or develop that a little bit more, será u va a ser. It will be, será genial. Va a ser inolvidable. It will be, será, it is going to be, va a ser. Inolvidable. Unforgettable. Inolvidable. Unforgettable. Okay, quick look at the chat and then I'm going to show you 5 questions to look out for. ¿Estamos bien? Perfecto. Okay, let me know if you've got a question in the chat. Let me know. No such thing as a silly question. Until I get cut off, I'll be on here unless there's no questions. So let me know. If you want to screenshot that, actually, I'll just leave it up there for a second. Voy a comer. Vamos a comprar. Será. It will be. Va a ser. Past tense question. Future tense question. Guaranteed. Okay? So don't freak out when you see it tomorrow. You're going to smash it. Vale. Okay. Okay, my key mistakes. Okay, common mistakes in Spanish. Take a look at them. I'm just going to explain them nice and simply now in a second. So the first one, and again, just a reminder, 15 años, you're probably going to get a question with the numbers in the listening comprehension, okay? They love to throw it in. They love to test your knowledge on the numbers in Spanish. so maybe worth just having a flick through them. Soy 15 años. What is the mistake there? The mistake is, of course, soy. Okay, so if we're talking about age, we're using the verb tener. Tengo 15 años. Me gusto. Yo gusto. See this all the time. You're not going to make this mistake tomorrow. Me gusta. Okay, me gusta. And if the thing that you like is plural, me gustan. Okay. Ya está. Okay. So I always see this on junior cert papers. Me gustó. Doesn't work. I know most verbs, the way we think of it, you're actually saying the thing is pleasing to me. So it's me gusta. It's not I like it, technically. Yo vive. Again, that's just a present tense verb error, and we need to watch out for our verbs. So it's vivo or yo vivo. You can always include that. That's absolutely